is really good for that thoracic mobility. Shouldn't feel any discomfort on that lower back. If you do, stop, take this one out. So, coming down onto your front. Toes need to be tucked in so your glutes are off. Bringing your arms out so your elbow is in front of your shoulder. Eye line stays down at the floor. Really engage that core, so make sure you're not pushing your belly into the mat. Ooh, eye water bottle. We're going to inhale here, then exhale. Bring your head, neck and shoulders off the floor. Inhale here, then exhale, slowly coming back down. So you're just using that mid back to bring you off the floor. Hold it there for an inhale, and then exhale, coming back down. You're going to do 6 more like this. Should be no discomfort or pinching in that lower back. Should all be coming from your upper and mid back. Think about inhaling at the bottom and then exhaling, bringing yourself up. Keep that core engaged. Eyeline should be down at the cushion, so make sure you're not looking up. Keep thinking long neck. Inhale here and exhale back down. 4 more like this. Taking belly button to spine, keep that core engaged. Think about squeezing your shoulder blades together, like you're just squeezing a blueberry in between them. Bring them up and lift that back off the floor. Final one like this. Inhale, exhale, coming up. This time you're going down, then you're going to bring your arms in, push yourself back into child's pose. If you can't sit on your knees, see if you can sit with your knees wider. If you can't, just come to sitting, holding it here for an inhale. And one more. And coming back to sitting. Okay. Going to do threading the needle next. So you're going to make yourself into a good box. So your wrist should be under your shoulder, knee is under your hip, and then you're tilting your pelvis so your tailbone is pointing off at the back wall. From here you're going to inhale, then you're going to exhale. You're going to take your arm through that gap, hold it there for an inhale, and then exhale, bring your arm back through. Inhale here, and exhale, take it through to the other side, hold it there for an inhale, and exhale, come back. Make sure as you take yourself through the gap that you don't lean back and move your hip backwards, so your hip should stay stacked over your knees, and your arms should go back down underneath your shoulder. Make sure your hands aren't creeping forward as you go. Thinking belly button to spine, keep that core engaged, pelvic floor. I'm going to do 3 more to each side, so this is really good for that spinal mobility. Hold it there for an inhale, taking belly button to spine, core engaged, 2 more to each side. Side. And bring yourself back into child's pose or sitting however is comfortable. Take a big inhale there, and a big exhale, and coming back up. Onto our backs next. So the first thing we need to sort out is that setup. So your hips should be in line with your knees and your toes. So make sure your feet aren't out here, your knees aren't doing this or this. Make sure everything's in alignment. Next thing we need to think about is this little gap under our back. So we want to put our spine into imprint so that we're not putting too much pressure on it. So to do that, what we're going to do is think about sliding your ribs down into the front of your trousers. And then making sure your tailbone is tucked, so it's facing off at the back wall. So that little gap has reduced under your back, but you're not flattening your back off into the mat. So you can still see, or you can still feel a little bit of gap under that back. Feet stay hip distance apart. Then we're going to do toe tap. So we're going to bring one leg to tabletop, knee comes to over your hip, shin is parallel with the ceiling. Then from there you're going to move from your hip and take that leg back to the floor. Place it gently on the floor. Then you're going to bring it back up, moving from your hip. Then you're going to put it back down again. So think pelvic floor engaged, scoop it up. Pull those ribs down towards your hips. And you're just moving through your hip and taking that leg up and down. Check in with your shoulders, make sure they're just gently resting on the floor. You're not taking any tension in that upper body. Make sure your knee comes back to over your hip, so we're coming into tabletop and then bringing that leg back down. Keep thinking belly button to spine, keep that core engaged. We're going to do 4 more on this leg. So it's a really simple move. This is really good for your core stability, and that's going to help to strengthen up that back. 2 more on this leg. And final one. And bring that leg back down gently to the floor. Okay, same thing on the other leg. So just check your position again. Make sure that your pelvis is in neutral, so tailbone's pointing away. Little gap under that lower back. Keep those ribs sliding down into your trousers. One leg comes to tabletop. Knee is over your hip, shins parallel with the ceiling. Then from here, moving from your hip, taking that foot back down to the floor. Keep that pelvic floor engaged, core on. We're just tapping the floor with your toe lightly. Imagine you're just tapping the top of a pond, just making light ripples on that pond with your foot. Keeping belly button to spine, keep that core engaged, pelvic floor scooping up. Shoulders are just gently rested on the floor. We're going to do 4 more like this. Keep that movement coming from your hip. Make sure your knee comes back to over your hip. Doesn't come in really close like this. Say out here somewhere. If you're finding it difficult to think about the movement coming from your hip, imagine your knee is in plaster at 90 degrees. So your knee can't move, only your hip can move. Sometimes if you put your hand on your hip, it helps you to think about the movement coming from that joint instead of another joint, because it's your knee, you're so used to moving, you kind of go for moving your knee sometimes before you think about your hip. We're doing 1 more on this leg. And bringing it down. Okay, now the best part, we're doing a full body stretch. So you're going to just bring your legs out, arms come over your head, and take a nice big stretch. Then bringing your legs back into that neutral position. So they're hip distance apart, pelvis is still where that little gap is under your back, and you're just pulling those ribs down towards your hips. Then from there we're going to bring one leg to tabletop. So your knee comes to over your hip, shins parallel the ceiling. You're going to imagine you've got a crayon stuck to your knee and you've put a piece of paper on the ceiling, and then you're going to draw a circle on the ceiling with your knee. We're going to do 8 circles in one direction and 8 circles in the other, but I want you to really focus on your hips, keeping your hips really still. So if the whole bottom half of your body and your spine is getting involved and you're rolling all over the place, it's going to really do very little for you. So we want to keep everything really still and just move your leg in your hip joint. Keep thinking belly button to spine. Remember, pull those ribs down towards your hips. Try and keep your shin parallel with the ceiling. Don't worry if it gets a bit higher, but try not to let it drop. Doing 3 more circles in this direction. tension in that upper body. Okay, and other way. Belly button to spine. Pull your ribs down towards your hips. So an amazing click coming from my hip right now. And form like this, just keeping your belly button to spine. Make sure that movement's coming from your knee, not from your ankle or anything else. The movement's actually coming from your hip, but you're thinking about it being driven from your knee. And bring that leg back to the floor. Other side. Leg comes up to tabletop, knee is over your hip, shin stays parallel, keeping those hips nice and still, just creating that circle. Think rib to hip connection, pull those ribs down, tuck them into your trousers. Try and figure out which side is easier and which side is harder. That harder side might mean there's either some weakness there or maybe some tightness. So you can maybe try and do this later on. And we can see if you can ease that tightness or strengthen up that weakness. Bringing belly button to spine, pull that pelvic floor up. 2 more in this direction. Doing really, really well. And bring that leg back to being still and taking your circle in the other direction. Make sure that shin stays parallel with the ceiling. Make sure your pelvis is still tilted so that tailbone is pointing off towards the back wall. Keeping that core engaged, keep pulling your ribs down towards your hips. Shoulders are just naturally resting on the floor. Don't carry too much tension in that